So, Caitlin Clark, it has been revealed that Ice Cube offered her $1.5 million per game. Quote tweet something about Caitlin Clark and she lost her job. Let's never forget that. The hypocrisy will always, in that regard, will always be there. And this is my favorite thing, is that the big three will use Caitlin Clark in every bit of their promotion. It'll always be there when we're talking about that specific situation. But yeah, it is an interesting one. It is all around an interesting one.
Caitlin Clark just got offered $15 million for 10 weeks of basketball. Let that sink in. That's almost 200 times what she's making in her 4-year rookie deal with the WNBA. So how did the league's most valuable star get to the point where outsiders are outbidding the very organization she put back on the map? Today, we're breaking down exactly how this happened and why the WNBA is terrified they might lose the one player they can't afford to.
I wonder how much money Caitlin Clark is actually making. Like, I think that, like, some of those talks, apparently it costs, for her to go in person, it's like 200 grand for 30 minutes.
15? I thought that she was 5.
No, 15. Woo. After it started at 5.
Right.
But the official final offer was $15 million for 10 weeks.
Like, and she was doing two, 3 of those a week. Like, I would say Caitlin made $1 million off the Panini deal, minimum.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
They sold like 5 million worth of her goods in a day. She made $1 million minimum on the Panini deal. I would say the cost to get Caitlin Clark as the face of your product, I think that Wilson partnership, she's made multiple millions. I would say I'd say it would cost at least $1 million to make her like the face of a line of Stanley Cups. I'd say it would cost her at least $1 million. And unfortunately, I do want to say, in terms of like Stanley and stuff, it's probably similar to LeBron, because the Caitlin Clark fans will buy anything with Caitlin Clark's face on it. It's like Taylor Swift type shit.
How is it possible that the most talked about player in women's basketball makes less money than a mid-level office worker? That doesn't even sound real, but that's exactly Caitlin Clark's situation right now. Her rookie deal is 4 years, worth just $338,000 total. That breaks down to about $85,000 per year. And for context, you could make more than that working in some desk jobs in corporate America. We're talking about a player who has become the face of the sport, yet her paycheck reflects none of it. Now compare that with what happens on the men's side of basketball. The #1 pick in the NBA draft signed a rookie contract worth around $55 million over those same 4 years. That is not just a difference, it's like two completely different universes. One draft pick is being treated like an instant superstar, locked into wealth, endorsements, and the respect that comes with it. Meanwhile, Clark walks into the WNBA as the biggest draw in decades and gets a salary that could easily be mistaken for entry level. This is where the frustration starts to build. Look at the reality of her impact. The Indiana Fever, her team, drew more than 200,000 fans in a single season. That shattered their attendance records and boosted the league as a whole. National TV ratings jumped 21% right when she entered the league.
She's like the big three is on during the WNBA season. It would take her taking a year out of WNBA. And I think, like we saw with Taurasi took a year out of WNBA in her prime to go play in Russia because the Russian team paid her more than she was going to make in the WNBA. And then there's obviously a case where if you take the big three deal and it doesn't work out, your hype dies and you're losing money on the stretch. But I would say she made at least 15 million last year. And I'd say a lot of those brand deals wouldn't be there if she took the big three thing. So for me, I'm thinking she probably made about 20 million last year. For her to turn down 15 million, she had to have been making at least 15 million on her endorsements.
That bump was not gradual, it was immediate, and it was directly connected to Caitlin Clark. And jerseys, they couldn't even keep them in stock. Everywhere you looked, NBA stores, online shops, local arenas, if it had her name on the back, it was sold out. So here's the contradiction. The The WNBA has this rare phenomenon, someone who not only brings fans to the stadium, but also gets casual viewers to tune in on TV. She's proof that one player can elevate an entire league. But instead of protecting her or showing with actions that they value what she's doing, it feels like the opposite. On the court, she's taking hits that would normally spark immediate whistles and flagrant calls, yet refs let them go as if she's expendable.
Cherie should do is stick the middle finger to the WNBA. Why would she want to do that? Explain to me why it would be beneficial for Caitlin Clark to stick the finger to the WNBA. Yeah, I did like Caitlin Clark choosing to play in the WNBA. You could completely make the argument that she's bigger in the league, and I was like, why would she want to for her long term? Because at the end of the day, this is exactly why what the WNBA players are doing with her and how they're treating her so egregious.
One of those moments became impossible to ignore during a game with Brittany Griner. A hard foul with all the visuals of someone being targeted, yet the officials barely blinked. That sent a loud message. The league was more interested in optics than actually keeping its brightest star safe. Fans noticed. Analysts noticed. Clark herself just picked herself off the floor and kept going. But the clip told the story. If you won't protect your most marketable player, who will you protect? And that negligence didn't just stay in isolated game moments. It caught up in the worst way possible on September 5th, 2025. Clark went down with a serious injury, the kind everyone had been warning about after months of rough, unchecked play. The timing was devastating. The Fever lost their centerpiece. The WNBA lost its biggest reason people were tuning in, and suddenly everyone realized how fragile the situation was. Decades of building up women's basketball, and one bad injury showed that the league had mishandled the one player who could push it into the mainstream. Because here's the payoff. When one organization fails to treat someone according to her value, someone else steps in. In Clark's case, the outside world saw the gap and jumped on it. Other leagues, other investors, they all recognized Caitlin's true worth in a way the WNBA had not. It wasn't even about the money anymore. It was about respect, protection, and an opportunity to carry women's basketball somewhere new. And that's where the shock came. Out of all people, Ice Cube moved into the picture with a number nobody thought possible, a number so far above her rookie contract that it made the entire sports world stop and stare. The league had been warned, and now they were facing a reality even they weren't prepared for. Clark's $15 million offer isn't just a bag of money tossed her way. It's a warning shot at the WNBA, showing what happens when a league undervalues the very player carrying its spotlight. Imagine the face of women's basketball realizing her true worth came from outsiders, not her own league. So here's the real question. Does she stick it out in a system that didn't protect her, or flip the script and take a chance on building something new? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think her next move should be? And what happens to the WNBA next?